What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer. It is a delight to be here, an afternoon delight, you might say. It's Sunday afternoon on July 28th, and this is episode 28 of SLC Puck, the day one Utah hockey podcast. I don't know if it's the day one, but let's call it a day one Utah hockey podcast. And it's great to be with you. I say this all the time. It's fun to see this thing grow. It's fun to see the numbers climb. It kind of astounds me from time to time, especially when I see like a lot of the comments left on the YouTube channel. Like, so nice and so positive and so kind you viewers are. And there's been some great reviews on Apple as well. I don't have Spotify, so I don't have access to the Spotify reviews. I hope those are going well. If they're not, sorry. Watch it on Apple, or listen to it on Apple or on YouTube. I guess it's better there. But I do have like some really like awesome loyal listeners, viewers of the show, some rabid SLC Puck fans, and I love and appreciate them so dearly. And you've probably seen them out and about in the community because they're kind of easy to spot. And here's the telltale sign for a true SLC Puck head. Is they might be wearing some of this great merch available at slcpuck.shop. I just wanted to show you guys this, the cool-ass Yeti tank is what I branded this. And I think it's one of the best items in the shop right now. And I think I've sold a few of these, and I've heard they've come out really nice. So if you bought one, send me a picture of it. I'd love to see it. But here's what I like a lot about this tank is, unlike everything else on the site, this comes with a bonus offer. And the offer is 2 tickets to the gun show right there. You get the pythons coming out of the holes right there, show off the guns, get the chicks. Everybody loves it. This tank has people going crazy. And if you're one of my female listeners, and I'm not sure I have any, to be honest, you might like the tank as well. Just, it might be a classy little thing to wear to the gym. I would love to see a female listener of mine wearing this Yeti tank to the gym. It hasn't happened yet, but hey, first time for everything, right? So anyway, thanks for tuning into the show. Again, merch is available there at slcpuck.shop or like, comment, subscribe. Do whatever you can to support the show. I don't ask for a lot. Just your time and your money and your energy and your patience with me. I know that is actually a lot, but I do appreciate that. But we're getting into the nitty-gritty here. We're about 2 months away, 2 months and some change away from the Utah Hockey Club's premiere, their home opener against the Chicago Blackhawks, October 8th. Connor Bedard in the building. Should be a ton of fun. I've said it before that I'm going to be there. I'm really looking forward to that. That was made possible through the show and through the kindness of one of the listeners, and I really, really appreciate that. I had an interesting week this week. I don't know if this is interesting, but I had an interesting thought. I was at the Salt Lake Bees game where Mike Trout played, and it was so fun to be there. We didn't get a lot of Mike Trout, let's just say that. But before the game, I've been to tons of games at Smith Ballpark, but there was like a different energy in the building that there really isn't most of the time at a Bees game. And it was directly attributable to the fact that Mike Trout was there. People were psyched to see one of the game's greats in the building. Now, Trout did not perform like a great. He's working his way back from a knee injury, but he caught a couple fly balls, struck out looking before re-aggravating his knee injury and leaving the game. He'll probably never play in Salt Lake again. That's my opinion. And I'll get into that on my Bees podcast. Just kidding. I'm not doing a Bees podcast. But again, there was like this fun energy in the building. People were psyched to see like one of the sport's elite athletes like in Salt Lake City. And it occurred to me, like, I really hope this energy is found at Utah Hockey Club games when we have guys who are like all-time greats in the building, because that will happen, especially if it's guys who have never really been here before or maybe played like once or twice in their career. And I'm talking about guys like Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin, Marc-Andre Fleury. That'll be a cool one when the Wild are in town. And even like the newer generational guys, Bedard is one of those, Connor McDavid, I mean, Macklin Celebrini will be here eventually. I mean, it's going to be a ton of fun. But we also need to pay attention to the players who will be suiting up for Utah, who will have Utah diagonally across their sweaters to start the year. And I think we can label one guy. There's maybe a couple, but I think there's one guy for sure that we can label as Utah's first NHL superstar. And I want to tell you about him. And he's a cool guy. I like him a lot. We have a lot of similarities, and I just want to show you a couple really quick here. Now, his name is Clayton Keller, okay? And if you're already a hockey fan, you know, I mean, this is going to be really remedial to you, so I apologize. But this is why I like him, okay? He wears number 9. That's a good start, right? He's left-handed, so that's a point. That's points against him, but that's fine. But look at that. Look, he's got his mouth guard in the side of his mouth. Now look at this picture here on the screen, and then I'm going to change it to a different picture. But you probably can't tell the difference. It's virtually the same picture, really. There's me for Viewmont High School right there, mouth guard side of the mouth, number 9, right? Look at that. What's the difference? I don't really see one, if you ask me. I mean, granted, looking at Clayton Keller's resume, that's where the differences come in. And I'll just tell you a little bit more about Clayton Keller and make the case for him as Utah's first superstar, right? So, drafted by the Coyotes in 2016, 7th overall. He has been like an Iron Man throughout his career. Now, like, a lot could be said about like his offensive production. He's pretty much led the Coyotes in scoring, like in all categories, goals, assists, points, almost every season of his career that he's really been like a prevalent, like, you know, force in hockey. But here's what's really impressive about him, okay? He's played in all 82 games 7 times in his career, and he also played in all 56 of the COVID-shortened season. So he really doesn't miss that much time. He's a tough dude. He's only missed 30 games in his entire career. And it was funny. I was like trying to compare him and this little stat to like, I guess Utah's, you know, most beloved basketball superstar in recent memory, who is Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell missed quite a bit of time and misses quite a bit of time from now he's with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Clayton Keller doesn't do that. I think Donovan Mitchell has missed about 30 games in the last season alone. And Clayton Keller, who came into, you know, professional hockey the same year as Donovan Mitchell, has only missed 30 in his entire career, which I thought was pretty impressive. And here's the impressive story about Keller here, okay? So the big bulk of those games he missed came right at the end of the 2021-2022 season, right? Now, he broke his leg. It was like he had a collision with the boards, broke his leg. It was real horrific. But he worked his freaking butt off all summer, came back, and played in all 82 games the next season, which I thought was pretty impressive. Missed no time the next season, even with a broken leg. Had I broken my leg, I would have cried like a girl and probably never played hockey again because I'm like scared like that. I've always been really scared of getting hurt. That was like kind of like probably what prevented me from really being Clayton Keller, was my fear of injury, I think, among other things. But that year he was a finalist for the Masterton Trophy, and now, you know, here in Utah, we're well acquainted with that trophy. Connor Ingram won it this last offseason. So anyway, there's a lot to like about Keller. I mean, not only is he like considered like an elite offensive talent, he's been to the All-Star game 4 times in his 7-year career. He's like a tough, like feisty guy. And, you know, here there's a lot of others. As I dug into the Clayton Keller rabbit hole, or like, you know, the Clayton Keller experience, learn more about this guy. Like, so many awesome stories. You know, early in his career. And here's the other thing I like about him. I'll just tell you this. Our body type is very similar, too. He's 5'11", about 175 pounds, which, hey, there you go. That's me. We might be body doubles, actually. Like, let's say something happens to Clayton Keller and he does have to, like, you know, miss a game for whatever reason, you know, but he doesn't want to compromise his Iron Man sort of reputation in the league. I would be happy to slip on the uniform and go out there for him and take his place. People wouldn't be able to tell the difference, other than the fact that I'm right-handed. That might give it away. But imagine if they didn't notice. That'd be kind of funny. But anyway, there was this great story about Clayton Keller that I liked as I dug into the Clayton Keller wormhole. And it was, you know, early in his career, I mean, he came on the scene fast, and like I said, he pretty much has been the Coyotes' leading scorer almost every year that he's been with the team. I think this story took place right around 2019, from what I can tell, just looking at my notes. He signed a really big contract earlier in his career, and there was a lot of criticism. He's like, he was the highest paid player in Coyotes franchise history, and a lot of people were like, okay, is he worthy of this title? He seems like kind of like a soft, like, guy who plays around the perimeter, doesn't really muck it up, like he's not overly physical, is he worthy of this? And his response was verbatim. He's like, I'm going to shove it up their ass, which is like a cool thing to say when people are, criticizing them. And I think you could say that it has been shoved up there. I think he's been, from everything I can tell, just looking at it, he led the team last year with 33 goals, 43 assists for 76 points. That's nearly a point per game, which in the NHL is excellent. And it's been a lot of fun learning more about him. He loves playing golf. In Arizona, he had a putting green, a chipping green in his backyard. He was there all the time. Apparently, he was really close with the Tkachuk family when he was growing up in St. Louis. Now, if you're a hockey guy, the Tkachuk name sounds familiar for a few reasons. Keith Tkachuk was a long-time, NHL great, played majority of his career with the St. Louis Blues. That's how Keller got to know him. And Tkachuk's sons, Matthew, and I'm thinking on the fly, the other one, the two Tkachuk boys both play in the NHL right now. And they all played on the same team with Keller. So the Tkachuks knew Keller really well. So he's been in this little hockey bubble for quite some time. But there's so many other things I like about him too. Like his coach, Andre Tourney, says that he's got like a little bit of Michael Jordan, Sidney Crosby in him, in the sense that he's becoming more of like a vocal leader, kind of like a feisty guy, like not afraid to like get on his teammates' asses a little bit, not shove it up anything, but just get on their case a little bit, motivate them to be better. We've all seen The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, seen how he interacted with his teammates. Apparently, Clayton Keller has a little bit of that same streak as well. And here's what's interesting, like this team does not have a captain right now. And I wonder if Clayton Keller is going to be the guy who's going to be the first captain of the Utah Hockey Club. And I think that would be really interesting and important, because I'll tell you why. And this is where we're going to get into a new segment that I like to call Conspiracy Talk. And as part of this, we're going to make a shift in headwear, just so that you're aware of my conspiracy talking, all right? Now, there's been a lot of rumbling on the hockey Twitter sphere about a possible trade that that might be brewing, right? It's a rumor that won't die. I've seen it on Twitter many times, and it will not quit. So here's what it is, right? If you've been on Twitter, if you've been following hockey rumors, you know what it is. And again, this is going to sound so weird that I talk so complimentary about Keller, that I've talked about, how he should be maybe the team's first captain and all that. I'm also going to say that he might be the center of a very big trade that would send him away from Utah and out east. And that would have major implications on the team's future. But I think there might be something to it. Now, I don't know anything, but I am going to put the tinfoil hat on and share some rumors, right? So the rumor that we've been seeing here, and we've all been seeing this on Twitter, is that Mitch Marner, who plays for the Toronto Blue Leafs, for the Toronto Maple, they wear blue, the Toronto Maple Leafs, has been linked to a trade to Utah, right? This rumor won't die. And I, for the longest time, saw these rumors. I'm like, this is horseshit. Like, why would the Utah Hockey Club want to do this? It would so affect the trajectory of the team. They've got a young core of guys who are still young, like Keller. Keller's only like 24, 25. But they're coming up. They've been playing together. Why screw it up? Why shake up, the rattle the cage and do something different, take on a big salary like Marner? But as I read more about Keller and got more into the rumors and more into thinking about this in the way that we think about NBA trades, this trade actually kind of makes a little bit more sense to me than I originally gave it credit for, right? So the big trade, this was one that was online this week, okay? The trade proposal that some expert put together was one that would send Keller, John Marino, who just signed with the team, or was just acquired in a trade with New Jersey, Jack McBain, and Nick Bjugstad to Toronto in exchange for Marner, a bunch of other guys whose names I can't pronounce, but basically the centerpiece it would be Marner. Now, here I thought this was junk until I realized something. All right, Clayton Keller is pretty much best friends with Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are boys to the biggest degree, right? And there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, here the conspiracy people have really gotten into the weeds on this, and I do appreciate their research. Like here, like this is a little picture someone tweeted out. Austin Matthews and Clayton Keller's dogs are having a play date. That's Keller's dog, I believe, on the left. His name's Lucky. He's a Bernedoodle. So the dogs are hanging out. But you got to remember, Austin Matthews, and I've said this on the show, is from Arizona. So he spends a lot of time going back to the Grand Canyon State in the off season. And who's there in Arizona to hang out with him, go skating, go golfing, all that? Clayton Keller. They've also, been photographed together at the All-Star game when they've done a little All-Star draft, like the most recent one in Toronto. Austin Matthews selected Clayton Keller. They like each other. They're homies. They're friends. And we see this happen so much in the NBA where superstar players want to team up. It's sort of it's basically the thing that LeBron James invented, right? Is teaming up with superstars, being friends, teaming up with each other. So now knowing that, I think that puts a little more fuel in this rumor that Marner might be on the way if Keller is included in that deal. Because I am certain that Austin Matthews, being an NHL superstar, being a guy who plays essentially for the New York Yankees of hockey in Toronto, being the NHL's best goal scorer, I think he had 69 goals this last year. He wants to get the Maple Leafs have underperformed big time, and probably I've said this on the original 6 episode. There's probably no team in hockey that's under more pressure to win year in and year out than the Maple Leafs. I am of the opinion that Matthews, seeing himself as a LeBron James type of hockey, wants to team up with his buddies who are also NHL superstars. Now, Marner is a great player himself, but are they boys the same way that he and Keller are boys? I don't know. It certainly seems like he and Keller are boys, so I think there's something to that. And I this rumor has been floating around forever. I wrote it off for so long until I became more aware of the Keller-Matthews connection. Now, the question is, should Utah do this trade? And I think that's an interesting argument because, again, my original thesis on this was no, why would they? They have a team of guys who are coming up together. We're building something organically. We don't need to take on Marner's huge contract. Besides, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent after this next season. Why would we do that? Well, it would be interesting to see because I think if Matthews is really putting the pressure on his front office in Toronto to get his boy Clayton Keller here, Utah, and apologies, this has been a little bit more crass than some episodes have been, but Utah might have their balls in a vice a little bit and might be able to squeeze a little bit out of them. And if they can swing a crazy deal, something that would be historically significant, include draft picks, include some cap relief, take on a great player like Marner. And Marner might be someone that they might be interested in, especially if Ryan Smith really wants to make a splash the team's first year. Marner's a great player, and he's known as a great setup guy. I think he's led the league in assists the last few years. He's a guy who can help the team win and maybe make the playoffs their first year. And then we'll see. You see how it goes after this next season. Maybe you bring him back on a long-term deal, or you just let him go in free agency and use that cap space to work other deals. It kind of gets interesting when you think about it. I do wonder if there is something to it, because if there wasn't, this rumor would have died out a long time ago. The fact that it continues to proliferate, and I'm sure I said that wrong, proliferate, is interesting to me. And, I also saw, Twitter is a great place to get bad information, right? We all know that. But someone also noted that they had heard that Keller was not exactly thrilled to be moving to Utah, which makes sense, right? He loves to golf. He had the house with the putting green, the chipping green, all that. I'm sure he loved being able to play golf year round, especially during the winter months. So I'm sure the idea of coming to Utah was not that appealing. But here's what I would say to that. So there's two things, right? So there's the possibility that he wants to play in Toronto with his buddy Austin Matthews, who spells his name like a moron, by the way. It's I-N, not O-N. Okay, Austin Matthews' parents. But you know, maybe there's like a little something to not being super excited about being in Utah, right? That those things could be working against Utah in terms of getting Clayton Keller really gung-ho about being here. He said the right things in media appearances, but if we learned anything from what Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert said about each other in the media, the truth is not always, told, in interview settings. But here's what I would say. Here's what Utah can do to keep Clayton Keller happy, right? For one, Ryan Smith loves to golf too. Ryan Smith's golfing all the time. Take Clayton Keller with you. Take him with you. I don't care which course you go to. If you go to Lakeside and West Bountiful, if you go to Eagle Ridge in West Bountiful, I'm just going to name Davis County golf courses. Or if you go to the Salt Lake Country Club and Sugar House area, Ryan Smith and Clayton Keller got to get out playing golf together, right? I think that would be big for him. Get him an indoor. I'm sure they could swing a deal with like some kind of sponsor to get him an indoor golf simulator in his new house in Utah. Sweeten the deal like that. Get Clayton Keller okay with the fact that the golf in Utah in the winter is not as good as it is in Arizona. But hey, Clayton, we as a team in Utah, Smith Entertainment Group, we've got a great deal with Black Rock or Black Desert, whatever it's called, the new course in St. George. We've got a partnership deal with them. We can get you on whenever. Okay, we'll fly you down for the weekend. We just want you to be excited about being here. So I think that's one thing. The other thing they can do to get him gung-ho, excited about being here, is making him the captain of the team. So I think there's a two-step process here. If Clayton Keller's your guy, get him on the course as much as you can. Put a C on his sweater. And I think if you see him with the C on his sweater, especially to start the year, I think you can pretty much say, yeah, this guy's in it for the long haul. And we can call him Utah's first true NHL superstar. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, the game is coming here. I'm going to switch gears back to Hockey 101. Now, Austin's Hockey Education Series, the education series you know and love, that's going to get you all excited about the game and how to watch it and how to understand what's happening. We're here with another rules edition. And in today's edition, we're going to talk icing, okay? Now, let me just get this up here, okay? So icing, it's not a penalty. It's just a little violation here that results in a face-off. But again, it helps you understand like why the rink looks the way it does and what the lines on the ice are for, right? So we talked a lot about offsides. That's where the blue line comes in. The blue line is crucial for understanding offsides. Now, you might be thinking, what the heck is this red line here in the middle? Well, the red line is where it helps you understand what icing is, all right? And just to put it briefly, icing happens when a player, let's say the green guy right here, fires the puck down the ice behind the red line, and without touching anyone or anything, I think you can touch the boards. Even if it touches the boards, it still becomes icing. But without touching anything, if it crosses the goal line and doesn't go in the goal, it becomes icing and results in a face-off all the way down here in the defending zone, okay? Now, this can happen intentionally, unintentionally. Sometimes it might happen intentionally if, like, the green team's, been out on the ice for a while. They really need to change, to do a shift change. They might fire it down and just take the face-off down here with fresh guys. That could happen. But for the most part, it was interesting. I was sitting next to somebody at the Frozen Fury game last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, and they were asking me, like, what's the point of icing? Like, why do they call that? And the thing is, like, hockey would really kind of be a boring sport if icing wasn't a thing, right? Imagine if the green team, every time, they were stuck in the zone here, they could just like, goosh, just, shoot it down the ice. The game would just become the teams like shooting the puck up and down the ice without anybody carrying it through the neutral zone. But icing sort of forces teams to carry the puck up at least a little bit. This is where a lot of the excitement takes place, is the neutral zone, and then especially if they cross through the neutral zone into the attacking zone, that's where hockey gets fun. That's where guys pick up a lot of steam. If it just became a game of dump and chase all the way down the ice, for one, the guys would be exhausted, and for two, it would be a very different game to watch. It'd be very boring. And so that's why icing is there. It also sort of, it's interesting here. I'm looking at hockeymonkey.com. And this is where I found this nice visual, but this is some nice historical context here. Icing was created in 1937 as a way to eliminate delay tactics. Prior to the rule being introduced, teams that had a lead on their opposition late in games could simply shoot the puck all the way down the ice without the play stopping, thus wasting time on the clock. Not only was this frustrating for the players on losing teams, but frustrating for the fans as well. Yep, see? Thus, icing, stoppage of play, and face-off in the infracting zone was created to eliminate teams from firing the puck down the ice. So, again, like I said, hockey would suck if icing wasn't around, and that's why the rule's in place, and that's what it is. So, I hope you enjoyed that particular segment of Austin's hockey education, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the episode here as well. It's been a pleasure to bring SLC Puck to you. Episode 28 is in the books. It's on its way to the Library of Congress. That's where all these episodes go. They'll be etched in the annals of history forever. 100 years from now, people will speak of these days, and they'll speak of the show, and they'll say, wow, I wish I had been there. And if you're here, I appreciate it. And you should like, comment, subscribe, and buy some merch, too. I mean, what better way to take advantage of the moment? We'll be back with you guys on Wednesday. Appreciate you for tuning in.